I'm Jason Liu. I'm the creator behind The Pitiful Human Lizard. It's a series set in Toronto about a 9-to-5 office clerk who masquerades as a superhero, but he's not that great at it. But that just adds to the whole down-to-earth humor that any modest Canadian can relate to.
So this comic, you're on your 7th issue. So can you tell me about this upcoming 7th issue just released recently?
So issue number 7, we find our hero stranded in the city of Mississauga. And I think this is the first time that Mississauga gets featured in a comic. So, and growing up in Mississauga since I was 7, I thought it would be nice to, pay my respects to the city I grew up in.
In your comic, we noticed that you have a lot of landmarks throughout, let's say Ontario or mostly Toronto. So this is to showcase Canada. What did you? And you're there are a bunch of landmarks from streets, signs to even like artwork.
So I felt Toronto has enough character and it's popular enough to have a comic set in the city of Toronto, because why not? We've already seen enough superhero comics set in New York or LA. So I thought I'm gonna take this opportunity to tell a superhero story, an offbeat superhero story set in the city of Toronto.
So in your issues, I noticed that some of your issues, when they do have these landmarks, you have a lot of things that look like street art, and then there's things that a lot of the indie guys that are in Canada, they like it, and even like rap artists, they talk about it. They're like, hey, this relates to me because it has that urban look to it.
Awesome.
So is there a connection with yourself with the urban community or hip-hop culture, or something that it connects to you or anything like that?
I think it's just me being a little bit detail-oriented with how to capture how I look at Toronto. I've lived in Toronto for 6 years, and I make an effort every weekend just walking into the city and just doing some city adventuring, just exploring all sorts of parts of the city I've never seen before, and I just want to honor some of the things that I just wanted to honor the city I live in through my comic.
Nice. So you mentioned, we were just speaking how when you went to the United States, how people take in your comics, and there's one comic store that was talking about you and talking about how urban music and how they related to you to that.
Yeah, so I took a trip to New York in December, and I was walking down Times Square, and it was unavoidable to hear tunes by Drake or The Weeknd, in stores, and then I go to Midtown Comics, one of the famous comic book stores in North America, and they had tons of copies of the latest issue of The Pitiful Human Lizard, and I introduced myself to the store clerk saying, hey, yeah, I'm the guy that creates the Human Lizard. It's wait, you're that guy? It's dude, we've had to reorder copies constantly because it's just flying off the shelf. And then I told him about my experience so far of just hearing a lot of Toronto hip hop artists that's being played in New York, and the store clerk said the most flattering thing, saying well, you know what, to us you're our Drake. And it's oh, come on. Gosh shucks.
You're my Drake.
Oh, come on. That's how I acted too, the same way. Yeah, come on. Yeah, so some of the music that I've been listening to while working on the Human Lizard, Sufjan Stevens, who's not Canadian, the Royal Alberta Advantage, they're Toronto based. Who else? Shad. Just trying to. Last night, I've been listening to some Kid Cudi. That's with a bit of Drake in there. Just thinking of what I've been listening to while I'm drawing my comic. And some Sloan. And St. Vincent.
And these artists just get your creative process just working more, or it just relates to the story itself, or it's just your to get in the mode.
Some of the songs I could see as a nice soundtrack to my comic. And some of their tracks I just find just motivating for me to just keep on drawing while I'm alone in my apartment, just drawing.
So where do you see comics going in Canada now, since you're working with one of the major production companies and that started building Canadian comics back up, Captain Canuck?
Well, Chapter House is definitely a rising comic company in the industry. It's slowly being taken notice by fans around North America, and I see that there's a steady climb as people are slowly finding out about Canadian comics from Chapter House. I know from the start when people would pick up the new Captain Canuck, they picked it up as a joke, and then when they would read it, they're like, "Oh wow, this is an actually entertaining comic." And the same response went with my comic. They looked at my title, Pitiful Lizard, thinking, "Oh, that is funny enough for them to pick it up." And then as you read it, they're like, "This is a pretty solid comic." It's catching a lot of people by surprise, and slowly we're building a growing fan base.
And you see this beyond Canada itself, or when you were in the United States, like New York Con, how did they take you?
Very well, actually. What I've in terms of the growing fan base, it's that also reflects all around North America. It's flattering to see, even some of the comic book stores in LA, like House of Secrets or Heroes in North Carolina, pick my comic as their book of the week. It's wow, it's just flattering to me.